What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall market as we have three things affecting our volatility that could be very, very important. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or sign up with my QR code that's right over here. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvda stock. Deposits $2,000 to get $50 worth. Deposit $10,000 to get $300 worth, and deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia stock. You also qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, which includes a 4.1% APY base rate plus a 4% APY extra for 3 months. The offer ends very soon, so if you want free Nvidia stock, check out my links down below. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the stock market. So, as far as SPY is going, as you could tell, we're looking more bullish, making higher highs and higher lows. But we need to see this hold above 546.5, excuse me. If we hold above that, I think we go for new all-time highs and continue to push and then break out for like 648 to 650, but we need to hold above 646.5. Let me just clarify that. We need to hold above that very, very key level. If we hold above 646.5, we're going to be going to new all-time highs. But if we lose 644, if 644 fails us, we could be dipping back down to 642 to retest our 20 EMA. So that's going to be very, very important to remember, especially as time goes on. Now, for today, we just got some manufacturing numbers. The manufacturing and industrial production numbers came out. Everything's kind of flat, nothing too crazy. But at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report, the 5-year inflationary expectations data, and such. And this may cause some volatility, so make sure you're prepared for that just to be safe. I do expect some volatility at 10 a.m. once this data comes out. So we'll see if this helps the market launch higher or not. And then we're also going to see what happens with the inflationary expectations. We'll see if they go up or not. For now, the market is going to be looking for some volatility at those times. So keep that in mind, at least for today. That's one of the main catalysts. So that's the first thing to consider. The second thing is that today is OPEX. We have a little bit over or a little bit under 800,000 of these calls expiring. We have over 3.2 million puts expiring for a 4.09 puts to call option ratio. What OPEX means is that with all the option expirations, there's typically going to be an increase in shops. There might be a lot of choppiness today. Okay, so we might see a little bit more chop with the price action, which could be a little bit negative for premiums. So I would recommend being very, very careful with the way in which you trade today. If you're going to go heavy in positions, be very mindful that if the market does have a lot of chop, if you're playing options, that could affect things a little bit negatively. So be careful with the way in which that's going to be affecting premiums. So keep that in mind, guys. The chop could be a little bit heavier today, despite some volatility that could be coming. So that's something that's worth mentioning. And then on top of this, we have another major catalyst, and that's going to involve President Trump. President Trump is going to be going to an Alaskan summit with Putin. This is some big news. They're going to be meeting, and they're going to be pushing, or at least President Trump is going to be pushing to try to help end the war in Ukraine. That's the main thing that's coming out. So the event starts off at, let me just double check this. I think it's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It says it right here. That's when the event is scheduled to start. Typically, what happens is, President Trump will meet his guest. He's going to meet Putin, but as they meet one another, it's going to likely be later than 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, maybe closer to like market close by the time that we actually see them. There's going to be a news conference too, so this is going to be huge. We're going to see what this leads to. Could the market try to push approaching this news? Could the market push in case there's anticipation of there being progress to end the war? We'll see about that, guys. That's going to be very, very important, very, very key for what we end up seeing. So we're going to see what that leads to. So keep this in mind. This could be another catalyst for the market later on during the day. And then finally, when it comes to news, we have UNH, United Health, which is pushing quite nicely. And then besides that, I'm not saying anything else that's too crazy so far. But that's pretty much it for now. So we're going to actually start off with UNH. I know people are asking me to talk about this. I'm just going to do this for 1 minute. Then I'll talk about the rest of these tickers. Buyers are defending. There's going to be a lot of momentum today, but I need to see this hold above 300. If 300 doesn't hold, our next support is going to be at 293. That's our 4-hour 200 EMA. If 293 fails, this is going to be dipping quite a bit more. I want to see 300 hold. If it holds, we could try to push for new highs for the day. This is going to continue to break out past 310 and eventually closer to like 320. I think this will push towards the high of the day, but we need to see if we could hold this for the next hour. Can we hold above 300 or not? We'll see just to be safe. So I would recommend just watching your levels on this, and hopefully the bullish momentum continues. All right, so that's what we're seeing at least thus far. For other tickers out there, we have SPY. So going back to SPY right here, like I said before, I think the chart does favor upside. If we hold above 646.5, we're looking for an attempt for new all-time highs, essentially for 648 plus. But if we lose 644, that kind of like that would be where I set my stop, because if that fails us, we're looking for 642 to retest this trend line and also our 20 EMA. So hopefully we hold above support and we see this continue to push. We might see some chop and maybe an attempt to slowly uptrend. Of course, the catalyst coming out could be affecting this, but look for volatility at 10 a.m. and then we'll see what happens with the other pieces of news. But for now, the chart does favor upside a bit more. Let's see if we could hold above 646.5, and if so, we could be attempting to push even more. So please keep that in mind. The chart is still favoring upside a little bit more, in my personal opinion, especially with some optimism about the Russia-Ukraine war potentially making progress towards ending. If President Trump negotiates or says something, we'll see how that goes. Besides that, we have the QQQ. Now, if we hold above 580, we're looking for an attempt to push for 582. But if we lose 578, we're going to turn back down. I am noticing that the Q, compared to like SPY, it's a little bit more choppy. It's also more sideways. Might push and consolidate, and hopefully we try to push a bit higher later on. But I do see more consolidation on this between our levels, so keep that in mind. For the IWM, we might attempt to touch 230, and we're going to see if we break past this to push higher. If not, we could consolidate between 230 and 226. Then we'll see if we break out higher or not, so give that some time. On ES, we're looking a bit more bullish. Now, if we lose 64.73, we're looking for a dump, but as long as we continue to break, we're looking for 6,500 as resistance. If that breaks, we're going to be pushing even more. So look for essentially 6,500, and we're going to see if this consolidates before it tries to push higher. We need to hold above 6,500 and then continue to break out. There's a good chance ES does try to do that. As long as we don't lose 64.73, I think we're looking quite good. Now, NQ, if we lose 23,872, we could be dipping to 23,800 flat. We need to hold this and try to bounce back above 24,000 to remain bullish. That's your range. 24,000 is resistance and 23,800 as support, and we're going to see how that goes. Bitcoin is flat right now. I want to see us break 119,600 to break out more. As long as we don't lose 117,000, I might try to push a bit higher. Tesla's range bound, it's going to likely try to push upon open for essentially 340, maybe a little bit above that. And then we're going to see if it rejects back to, 335. Basically, it's range bound still. We need to break 347 to be really bullish. We need to break 330 to be bearish. Otherwise, we're just trading sideways. We could be looking for the low 340s. And we're going to see if we reject. The closer it gets to the mid 340s, the more likely it is to turn back down, because Tesla has been a little bit lackluster, unfortunately. So keep that in mind. I'm just being 100% honest with you guys. So we just have to wait and see how things end up going as time goes on. So with that being said, we might try to push to the low 340s, and we'll see if it turns back down. Nvidia is going to try to hold 181. I think we might push for like 183 and then just consolidate. It's very choppy, so there's not really much going on with this. If we lose 179, we're bearish, but for now we're just holding up. As long as we don't lose 230, Apple's bullish, favoring 235 plus. AMD looks decent. It's kind of flat right here. We have resistance at 185 and support at 178. I do think it chops around. It might retest 178 and bounce, though it's still kind of flat. Not doing much for now. Coinbase is flat. Needs to break 331 to be bullish. And if we lose 318, we're bearish. We're still stuck in the middle, so I do expect that to continue. Amazon's favoring upside for 235 plus. Meta's looking a bit more bullish. We're favoring, as long as we're above 780, we're favoring 792. But if we lose 779, we're turning back down. So I think this is looking more bullish. Google, as long as we don't lose 202, we're favoring 206 and 208. And Microsoft is going to likely consolidate before it starts pushing for basically 525. The VIX is technically on a downtrend. We're going to see if this rejects or not. If it breaks past 15.85, that could be a sign it's breaking up. But as of right now, it's choppy. We'll see if this dips more as the market tries to push. So honestly, guys, I presume the most likely possibility is the market's going to try to go higher and try to break all-time highs. We do look a bit more bullish. But we'll see how well we hold up just to be safe. Keep in mind, we have lots of option expirations, which does increase manipulation. And then we'll see what happens when the Michigan consumer sentiment data comes out at 10 a.m. And then finally, the last catalyst is going to be towards the end of the day as we have Putin meeting up with Trump in Alaska. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we get some progress to end the war, right? I'm a pacifist. I want war to end. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening. I really appreciate you guys so much for listening, and peace out.